All right! I love the future!
So shit, man. How do you get your, like, what moves you to create music, like, and where do your lyrics come from?
Honestly, if I'm being genuinely honest, magic mushrooms, or like just like
Not surprised.
psychedelics. You know, the word psychedelic means mind manifesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of you may or may not know, I spent a lot of time when I was between the age of 17 and 19 delving into the mushroom realm, eating a hell of a lot of magic mushrooms, and like, yeah, ridiculous amounts, man. Like, fuck. I guess with this substance, it's an extremely safe substance. It's one of the only chemicals on the planet that has no LD50. If you guys don't know what an LD50 is, it stands for lethal dose. LD, lethal dose, at which 50% of a population will die. So every drug on the planet has an LD50, or even chemical. It's like, if we expose you to this much chemical, or if we expose a population to this much chemical, 50% of that population will die. So most if not all substances have an LD50 or have been tested for an LD50.
Right.
Magic mushrooms
Fuck, how much
and
magic mushroom do you have
DMT
to eat? Yeah.
do not have an LD50. There's no
Right.
lethal dose.
Tested yet though? I mean, like, fuck, you'd have to take you'd have to take more mushrooms than anyone would be stupid enough to take.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly.
Like a kg
I mean, it's so
of mushrooms.
ridiculously
Like,
strong.
you'd get bored of chewing and everything.
But I
before.
mean, the thing is, with psilocybin, psilocybin is actually inactive. It has no activity in the body.
Yeah.
It gets
Okay.
dephosphorylated in the liver into psilocin. So psilocybin is 4-phosphorolyl dimethyltryptamine.
Okay.
In the liver, it gets dephosphorylated into it gets dephosphorylated
Into
into
DMT, basically.
4-hydroxydimethyltryptamine.
Okay, all right.
Which is active. It's psilocin.
Yeah.
Basically, it looks identical to serotonin. So if I were to draw serotonin, imagine like an aromatic ring, and it's got like a bond coming off it like this. It's got like, yeah, okay. The hydroxy bond of serotonin is bound at the 5 point. The hydroxy bond of psilocin is bound at the 4 point. But
Okay.
it's almost identical other than that shift.
If you look at the molecular structure,
Yeah, if you look at the molecular structure.
Okay.
So, in the body, psilocin, which is the active metabolite, replaces or negates the action of serotonin in the brain. Basically, it turns off your serotonin and acts in place of it.
And therefore, you get amazing lyrics on songs.
Well, what it does, I mean, we were talking about this earlier in the podcast or the broadcast about going into that beta state, I think they call it, where, like, you know, where I said they were given like answer this question, which one do you want, which one's better? Now do this mass equation. Puts you into a beta state. It lowers the activity of the central nervous system. So that's the same with mushrooms. It puts you into like a wakeful dream. What it does is it lowers the activity of the central nervous system, which shuts down a whole bunch of the functions of the ego, which serves to separate and categorize things. It serves to protect you, of course, but it can also be very easily misguided because of that compartmentalization.
Right.
And that's how our society is structured, is to misguide the ego.
Well, we identify with that as being real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, when people take mushrooms, they often experience this sense of everything being one. It's because the veil of the ego is decreased, and because also that chatter in the brain stops, or it quietens. You can hear that small, quiet voice of reason, your intuition, a lot more loudly.
So you used mushrooms, and I guess like had some sort of like spiritual connection or understanding, or like.
Well, I went through a lot of traumatic experiences as a youth.
Right.
Mostly emotionally traumatic, not physically traumatic. I mean, yeah, I had some physically traumatic experiences in my childhood.
Okay.
Yeah, but I guess like as a youth, I was heavily ostracized. I was diagnosed when I was 6 years old with high-end ADHD and autism, and I was medicated on 60 milligrams of Ritalin per day until I was 13, from the age of 6 years old to 13.
Wow.
Have any of you ever taken Ritalin? Like one
I've taken Ritalin. I've snorted Ritalin.
Fucking
once.
strong shit. You know, so 60 milligrams per day is
It's a lot. Well, what's the normal dose? Like 30 or 40 or something?
What's one pill?
one pill's 10 milligrams.
So you on 6 pills?
6 pills, yeah.
6 pills a day. That's a lot.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, also I was given an addiction by the pharmaceutical industries, and like it's no wonder I became a chronic cannabis addict when because I came off the medication when I was 13, and I started smoking cannabis chronically when I was 13. And I've only in the last few years put 2 and 2 together as like Ritalin's highly addictive. I was taken off a highly addictive drug, and of course
you need someone to replace it.
Yeah, because there's a deficit in the system.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. It's not the serotonin,
dopamine.
It's dopamine
and also norepinephrine.
Yeah, right.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, that's actually what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like magic mushrooms, I can honestly say have served the hugest benefit in my life.
Like for healing.
For healing,
doing
more than anything else.
Yeah.
I will not endorse any other substance other than maybe ayahuasca. You know,
Which is still DMT, isn't it?
It is, but that's not the. I mean, DMT is the key chemical component. But if you talk to any shaman, they will tell you that that's not what it is. It's the spirit
that comes in.
You know, so like I believe Albert Hoffman was the first to isolate psilocybin and psilocin, and he put it into a pill and took it back to the shaman that gave him the mushrooms. And the shaman took the pill, and they were like, "Yeah, okay, great.
Where's the soul?
It has no soul."
Yeah, it has no intelligence, like higher intelligence. Yeah.
You know, when you refine things, you decrease the essential life force, the essential life energy or essence. You know, like if I eat straight wheat, or you know, not that you can because it's got a lot of chemicals in it that stop you from digesting it. But just say I could, I would get, you know, if I ate it fresh, I would get the most essential life force or essential life energy from it. When I refine it into flour and then bread. It has a fraction of that essential life energy.
No, I totally get it. I mean, I've done a couple of ayahuasca ceremonies, and I only would do mushrooms ceremonially.
Yeah.
Like I can't take those kind of things recreationally
I
anymore,
took it heavily recreationally when I was between 17 and 19 because at the time I was taking a fair amount of LSD, and then my friends introduced me to magic mushrooms that I could pick any day of the week for free and take, you know.
That's when you were living south? Like
I was living in Wellington.
Yeah.
You know, and so like I could have, you know, I could take LSD any day of the week for free. Not that mushrooms are anything like LSD, but the experience can be similar.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Where's your water bottle, bro?
My water bottle's in the car.
And my silver water bottle's just
I
here?
used it for both you guys.
Okay.
I've got tap water.
My silver water bottle?
Yeah, well, I used it for you guys.
Oh, okay. Did you get a hit of vitamin C? Did you taste it?
No, it's cool.
Oh, wait,
it's fine. And so like, yeah, I was just like taking them willy nilly. Like I seriously abused them.
When you were like 17 to 19?
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes I would dose twice a day, 3 times a day even.
Right.
So like to be able to do that, you have to be taking a ridiculous amount of mushrooms because like your threshold for dose is once every 2 days.
And do you build a threshold? Does mushrooms
you build tolerance to it like that.
Really?
There's an enzyme in your stomach called monoamine oxidase.
Yeah, MAOI.
No, that's the inhibitor.
That's inhibitor.
So MAO is monoamine oxidase. Psilocin is a monoamine.
Okay.
DMT.
Yeah.
So it's derived from tryptophan.
Right. Oh, is that why you have to that's why they take ayahuasca and mix it with the things with MAOI inhibitors to actually make it kick?
There you go. Because if you take DMT orally without an enzyme inhibitor, it would have no effect whatsoever on your system.
Yeah.
Yep. And so this is why mushrooms and DMT are very, very safe substances, is because you have enzymes in your body that are so ridiculously effective at breaking it down. And you also build tolerance to it like immediately. You can't like if you take like a dose and then you're like damn, I didn't get enough. You'd have to take 3 times the amount that you took before to get higher.
Crazy, bro.
Yeah.
But you were taking it. It sounds like to escape, really.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, man.
And then so you were taking it recreationally. Same with cannabis. You're taking it recreationally. Then at some point you transition into.
Well, man, I just had like bad trip after bad trip after bad trip, but I kept doing it. I don't know why. but like
to escape, like it
to
was
escape.
your outlet, yeah.
But it wasn't
probably
an escape.
still
It
better
made
being
life
there than
way more real, dude.
Right.
You know, like I just was having existential crisis all the time, and I'm like, I don't know, I became very because I go into the woods and pick Weirdo, which is like gnarly as fuck, dude.
Right.
It's got a chemical in it called baeocystin and norbaeocystin.
Is that what they call blue meanie or something?
Yeah, well, that's what we call blue meanies in
Yeah,
Wellington.
right, okay.
Blue meanie is a very generic term. Like,
Oh, there's a few? Like,
well, people refer to gold tops as blue meanies because they stain blue.
oh, okay.
You know, but like
Right.
for me, a blue meanie is a Weirdo.
Okay.
Which is like, they're fucking so gnarly, dude. Like, you take gold tops, you have like a pretty pleasant, floaty experience. You take Weirdo, man, like, it fucks up your vision, and like, you do see like trailing colors and stuff like that. Basically, baeocystin affects your visual tracking. So like, it's fine now while I'm looking at you, but like things will be kind of sparkly and shiny. And like,
But if you move your eyes-
the light will play.
Yeah.
But if I turn my head this way, my eyes are still over here, and they take like a while to like track across your vision.
Yeah, I did a few ceremonies a while, like quite a while ago,
Yeah.
and we were doing gold tops.
Yeah.
The first time we did 3 over like a week, and so we did, the first time was gold tops, or like, you know, the actual like Cubensis Aucklandy, you know, and then
Sinus.
Sorry, yeah, Aucklandy, right? I think that's the strain. And then the second time we did it, there was a mix of real blue meanie or what do you call it?
Well, Weirdo. Here in
yeah.
Auckland, you'd probably be finding subsecatoides.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it was.
Weirdo var subsecatoides.
It's interesting, yeah. But I just remember like having a totally different experience in the thing.
It's
I
way
actually
more
was
visual,
like,
it's way more heavy.
oh, I do, but I felt like I was almost like channeling some sort of like ancient moldy priestess like energy or something.
Yeah.
Like that was, you know, I almost felt like I was, you know, like when I was on ayahuasca, I don't know if have you done ayahuasca?
No, I was meant to do a journey a little while ago, but
Right.
it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah, no, that's
I've
a
been
fair
called a
call.
lot, dude. I've been called so many times, but it
Yeah,
just
I
hasn't
bet.
been the right time.
Yeah, well, yeah, but so like in the times that I've taken it, I've
Yeah.
just experienced like this really feminine sort of like energy, almost like guiding me, you know, like mother plants, you know.
Yeah.
And when I took those blue minis, whatever the Auckland version is, it was like having this like powerful, moldy
Yep.
goddess woman. Kind of like, and I remember like the energy was kind of just like laughing at me. This like peasant white boy, like psh, like. You know?
That's it. That's where I got to when I was taking like ridiculous amounts. Like, basically, like I believe, and call me crazy, but I believe that there are entities in that realm. I mean, like that realm is all around us. It's just that when you take these certain substances, it makes you more connected and aware of it. And like, you know, I got told a lot of things that I needed to work on in myself. I need to heal my spine. I had a spinal fracture when I was 18, and like the muscles are still not strong enough to hold me up straight, and like I get back pain.
Right. Okay.
When I take mushrooms, it makes that profoundly obvious to me. Also, when I was heavily using mushrooms, I mean, I had so many people, like my parents, tell me to stop smoking cannabis, but the first time that I really got the message to stop smoking cannabis was when I was on mushrooms. The mushroom was like, you have to stop doing this. You know, and that's in me.
Was
Maybe.
that recently?
No. This was years ago when I was like 18,
Right,
19.
you already got the message back then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's only now that I've actually integrated it and I see. You know? And so like, yeah, when you take mushrooms, you stay in this world and they come to you. When you take ayahuasca, you go to their world, or you take DMT, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
You go to their world. And
Yeah.
basically like, I kept going back in there without a reason to be there. And as you say, they just laughed at me like, you fool,
You voyeur.
You've come back and you haven't, you're asking for more, you know, information and ways to better yourself, but you haven't integrated the last
Right, that whole
learning
doobie-doobie-doo
we
thing
gave
that you were
What
saying.
the fuck
Yeah.
are you doing here?
Yeah.
Don't come back until you've sorted this shit out.
Right. Wow. Wow.
And now I seriously got to a point where I was like, too many mushrooms. But like, I really was. I was eating hundreds at a time. Sometimes I'd go off into the woods and eat every one that I found. And sometimes there was hundreds. Sometimes it would be the only thing in my digestive system, which also causes some serious problems because there's this thing called wood lover's paralysis.
What's that?
You only get it from wood-loving mushrooms. Like, you won't get it from cubensis.
Okay.
But any of the mushrooms here in New Zealand will have this like strychnine-like effect on the body.
What does it do?
When you eat them physically, you'll find that you get like tense muscles and cramping and stuff like that when you start coming down. Yeah, and so
that's from eating too much of them, though. Like, I mean, you wouldn't get it from one or two.
You could even get it from one or two.
Really?
It's known as wood lovers paralysis.
Wow.
Yep. But you can avoid that by making tea. So like psilocybin and psilocin are highly water soluble.
The thing is, when I do that in the tea, I'll still eat the mushrooms.
No, because like
just make the tea
90 to 100%,
with lemon and
90 to 100% of the chemicals will come out in the first wash.
Really?
I've done second washes. It doesn't do anything.
That's my kind of personality, you know.
Yeah.
I'll just make sure, you know.
Nah.
Just like
it's
you
like,
don't need to.
do you eat your tea bag? Are you going to eat that?
Well, no.
No,
but,
exactly.
I mean, depending what it is.
It's
like
very,
this, yeah.
it's very woody and tough. Well,
this was horrible.
So are the mushrooms.
Like,
They're very woody and tough. They
like
don't belong
soft
in your
now.
digestive system. Like you can't process them. You don't have cellulase or lignase or chitinase in your digestive system.
Yeah.
You know, like you don't need those enzymes to digest oyster mushrooms, but you sure as fuck do to digest things like magic mushrooms. You know, they are very, very cellulitic.
You might as well
very
just
woody. Dry them to a crisp and then make tea out of them.
And that's it.
Yeah, and I mean they have some serious positive benefits. Like the World Health Organization or the UN just reclassified them as a breakthrough drug. They went from class A, so having zero human, animal, or technological use is zero, to being one of the most valuable medicines on the planet.
When was that?
Last year.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Denver's
research
just legalized
happening
magic
now.
mushrooms. Oakland.
That's right. Yeah,
Oakland
that's right.
has just legalized all natural psychedelics.
It's crazy, dude.
Oakland's
yeah,
like
it's about time.
Middle America ghetto as fuck.
Well, I mean, coming back to, I guess how you blew my mind about the trees and how everything's connected and all that. It's like a lot of people speak about how, psychedelics and the suppression of them in our society has been a part of this confusion that we've been in and this sort of disconnection that we've been in. And like as we're starting to reconnect to reality, realizing that we're actually part of this ecosystem, we're part of the planet, and that we can't just use it and abuse it and spit it out. Chew it up and spit it out. Psychedelics are starting to come back in because I think we're just starting to integrate, and that's a part of the integration.
Well, I mean, like these things were very widely used in all of society up until like a certain point. Like the phrase "eat the flesh, drink the blood." Now, I don't know how true this is, but as far as my research goes, magic mushroom use and ergot wine were very prevalent at that time of Jesus, right? I read the recipe for anointing oil. It's got like cannabis oil in it, and
That's interesting.
It's got opiates in it. It's got like saffron, which is the precursor to MDMA. All of these hallucinogenic compounds in it, and they wouldn't just fucking stick a line of it on your forehead. They would coat your entire body in it.
Wow.
They'd lather it into your entire body, and it would soak in through your skin.
Yeah. I think I've seen this on like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
They were talking about it.
That's what got me onto it.
Oh, really? Was that
Yeah.
when they showed the kind of like some ancient pictures of Jesus and some like enlightened people with mushroom halos?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it was halos in the shape of mushrooms or halos with a mushroom in the middle.
Right.
Kind of to show that they had like a mushroom mind or a psychedelic mind.
The chalice comes from when like cubensis gets quite large.
Yeah, and it folds up,
and it folds up, and the morning dew collects on the cap, and you can drink the liquid off
That's
the cap,
nice.
and it will be full of psilocin.
What?
Which is like doesn't even need to be metabolized.
Wow.
I find that because if you keep your mushrooms for like a year in like not a well sealed container, the oxygen breaks down the psilocin because it's highly unstable. That's what causes the blue reaction when you you squeeze them.
Yeah, you should never do that. That kind of
But
oxygen.
psilocybin is very stable, and it has to be metabolized in the liver, dephosphorylated.
Yeah.
But I find like psilocybin it's quite a dirty trip. It's heavy, whereas psilocin is very like clean. Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah.
You've been able to like extract that, or like how do you get that?
Yeah.
Besides waiting for it to fold up and drinking
to get
the
pure
juice.
psilocin, you have to do like chemical isolation of it, and then
Right.
through chromatography convert the psilocybin into psilocin. I mean,
Okay.
I'm not fucking with that shit, dude. Like,
Yeah, totally.
maybe when the government grants me research dispensation and gives me a fucking lab to do this shit, which is part of the aim of the Fungus Federation, I'd really love to do magic mushroom
Do you
research.
know about Callahan? Callahan Institute?
No, I have heard of it. But
Yeah,
I don't know much about it.
they fund, it's a government funded program for R&D.
Oh, cool.
Especially biomed and stuff like
Oh,
that.
shit.
So you might
Man, I
want
need
to give
to
them
get
a call.
involved with that.
Yeah. Well, they would fund research for you, man.
Well, I mean, Dunedin University is already doing magic mushroom research. And Johns Hopkins University of Massachusetts has been studying them for something like 13 years.
Yeah, definitely.
And some of the research they've come back with is just fucking ridiculous.
All right! I love the future!